All right, aloha, Compass Travelers, and welcome to an interview with Mandy. We're going to be talking all about how she has dove into fear and followed her passions recently. She's a perfect example of what a Compass Traveler is, and um, I want you guys to see all that she's been doing recently. I'm going to But yeah, she recently came out to Oahu and she had a change in perspective. Hey,
Hello, is this thing on? Is this thing
yeah,
on?
you're on. You're here.
Live? Hello. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm sorry. I just got out of work. I got a new job. Like this was my second day, so of course I'm like hustling. Like let's go,
Yeah,
let's go. I have to join this.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you're on and you have enough energy to do this right now. So I'm stoked.
Oh my
All
god.
right. So Mandy is a great friend of mine, and she recently visited Oahu, and she's an inspiration to me. And I've seen her just, change a lot of things mindset wise recently. And I think she's a great person to interview because she can inspire so many others too with her experiences. So, um, let's see, where should we start, Mandy?
Well, now you're getting me emotional. Now you're gonna make me cry at the beginning of this.
Let's see.
So
I'm going to start with what is your purpose in life and what has your inner compass been telling you lately?
oh my gosh. Well, I feel like I've seen like not really a shift in my purpose. I think I've always known that it's written in my inner monologue to make a change and make, a good kind of difference, macro or micro, in the community and the world, like something like that. I've always had that kind of um, inner feeling that I need to make a difference, and I've always kind of been the person who resolves the conflicts, makes friends, like is always reaching out and doing my best to, you know, grasp onto other people, whether, it's not just networking, it's more about like forming these connections and stuff like that. I
Yeah,
think that's all.
you're a
Yeah.
go-getter, meet people and like to, yeah, make connections. And I think that's a really amazing thing in a person. That's like the best thing to have in a person. So, yeah.
Exactly. I think honestly, in the grand scheme of my purpose, like I've always been kind of an emotional person and also like friendly at the same time. So I think forming bonds and connections with people has become, not just become, but always been something that's really, really important and powerful to me, because I just kind of, gravitate toward meeting new people and being the nice person. And I always, growing up, I was like, people online, like whenever they would post those Facebook statuses, like what's your favorite thing, like my status, I'll tell you my favorite thing about you. And every time people would be like, you're so nice. And I'd be like, why am I not cool? Why am I not pretty? Why am I not like a good athlete? And it was always like, you're so nice. And now I've grown up and I've realized like being nice has gotten me to where I am now. I've been able to, you know, meet so many people and form so many friendships and relationships. And, I think full circle moment, being nice, I reached out to you like a long time ago and I was like, hey, I want to come to Hawaii, like let's meet up. And then, it happened and I met up with you, I stayed with you, like it all worked out. So
I feel like, yeah, being nice, so like being open to new experiences and like open to connecting with new people and like seeing yourself in everyone and like knowing that like it's okay to like reach out to people and like, I don't know, I was the same way always growing up, like just always like never discriminated about anyone, you know, and like everyone we have like everyone's so similar. We're all going through the same thing. We're all going through the same shit. That's why I think it's so silly that like people like don't talk about it all together and like why don't you talk to a stranger and like why like someone from high school, yeah, why don't you message them? Like why is that weird or anything? It shouldn't be. Like we're all going through the same thing. We're all at this one chance at life. Like let's freaking talk about it and let's like share our passions and who we are and what we want to do. Like I don't I yeah, I'm the same way and I never understood why like people make it such a big deal, but it's not. And I feel like you get that and you like reach for people and you're really good at like seeing the light in other people and like wanting to like connect with other people and I think that's awesome. So that's
For
the best thing to do and to have in life is to have that. That'll bring you very far.
I know, and it took me actually a while to kind of muster up the own self-confidence to, reach out and start talking to people a lot more. I feel
Yeah,
like I was a little bit on the shy side, but every time I was able to meet somebody, I would always, reach out and converse a little bit more naturally. But now that I've experienced what I have, I've worked with the public for years. I feel like that has helped give me the confidence boost to be, a lot more apt to reaching out to people and forming those connections.
yeah. And that goes into my next question. So like I guess how did you get over that fear and for people that are feeling like they want to do more or they feel like they're not in the right place or they're getting signs from their inner compass and intuition that they want to do things, they just aren't they just feel like they can't take that full jump into the unknown and into that fear. Like, what catalyzed that for you to just fully be like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to Hawaii by myself. I'm gonna go like follow my passions of photography. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna start making connections and talking to people and put myself out there. Like, how did you go from like not wanting to do that to just full force jumping into it?
Well, I want to say that it was, all me and I had this epiphany and everything else, but I will mention, humbly that I have a really freaking cool boyfriend who he has traveled all over for work. He is still actually in the Coast Guard. He's doing school now on the side, but he has been all over. He's been down to all the Caribbean islands, South America, Central, 48 or 49 states. Like he's been to Europe and everything else, but he definitely kind of was the spark that ignited the inner feelings of cabin fever that I've been having my whole life. um
Yeah,
i I am not well traveled. Well, I hadn't been before Hawaii, but if you consider Hawaii being well traveled, then yes, now. But I had not been well traveled. I was supposed to study abroad summer 2020. So, as you would expect from that lovely summer, that was canceled because of the pandemic.
yeah,
So I just feel like I had missed out on so much, and it was really really nice to have his support in me kind of finding a place I wanted to go and just sending it. And um, when I finally started speaking it into existence and being like, I want to go to Hawaii because that's somewhere I've always wanted to go. I know people out there, and I just feel like this is a time that I can do it. I'm kind of in, potentially a gap year, potentially just a time of my life where I'm not in school. I just felt like it was a good time for me to go, and I was able to save up money from previous jobs. Obviously it's nice that it was right after Christmas, so maybe got a couple bucks there too. But I think that what people need to realize is that it's so cliche, you probably hear it all the time, but money comes back, time doesn't. And if you feel as though your money is more important than your time, then maybe you're more rich than I am, but I
Priorities, not good priorities. Yeah.
it's not the correct kind of mindset that you want to have if you do have these goals of going places and physically going places, not metaphorically, but traveling and experiencing new cultures and eating new foods and meeting new people. And I think that maybe a lot of people, and myself especially, before I had went, I definitely had trouble prioritizing myself and prioritizing the freedom that I could allow myself, to travel and to visit people and to make these things work. It's about making it work. It's not necessarily like, it wasn't written in my plans. I didn't plan this trip 2 years ahead. I kind of just said, you know what? I booked it in November and I went last month and I said, I'm just gonna go, and then I did.
Yeah.
And here,
That's what I feel like it's the simplest thing is just doing it. Just like not second guessing and not being like, oh, I'm gonna do it, but let me just like plan out my schedule with around it and let me make sure I have enough savings for this and this. Like it's never gonna happen if you keep planning and giving yourself second guesses. Like if you just because me coming out here, I didn't have enough money to come out here. It was spring break. I didn't have anything to do for spring break, and I was like, I want to go to Hawaii because I feel like that is calling me right now. And I literally I remember clicking the button and it was like all of my money. I was literally using all my money for that one ticket. And I was like, it was the best decision I've ever made because like clicking that button was just like, it was me finally being like, this is what I need. This is my path. I'm being pulled towards it. And I'm literally like, it's just, you don't even have to think about it. You just have to do it. And then once you're there, it comes together so much easier. Like you're saying that once you're here, things fall into place. Things like if you, I don't know, things seem so much bigger and scarier from far away, and we put it up in our minds to be so big and scary. And then when we're here, actually in the present moment, it really falls into place, and things flow with you if you're in a good positive mindset and you're doing things that you love for yourself, and like yeah, enjoying the experience because these experiences literally can like they're for you to like they're the most important things to grow and become yourself and understand what you want and everything like that. So yeah, people don't realize that like traveling and even just doing things that you love, even if you're not profiting or anything, is a way to invest in yourself and your future. Like it's more important to do that than, make some extra bucks working a job you hate. Like it's more important to invest in yourself. But okay.
for sure.
Yeah. My next question is, oh, how have you realized that your environment can change your mindset? So wherever you are in the world, it's like whoever you're surrounded with, you think that's the norm and that's okay, that's how my life should be. But if you go anywhere else in the world, your mindset is completely changed in any different environment.
It cut out again for me for a sec. I heard you though. So pretty much like I think we've grown up. Our parents are like, you are who you hang out with, you are what you eat, stuff like that. And I feel like it really does kind of make sense for, as you get older, it's like you are kind of who you hang out with, and you want to be able to spend your time with people who build you up and build your character up, and you know
I
provide that support for you. It's definitely been kind of a wake up call in my past, couple of years or few years, you know, going through college and being in a sorority and graduating and kind of realizing like, okay, these people weren't meant to be with, um, weren't meant to be, with in my life forever.
Yeah.
And there are some people that stick, and they check up on you, and they want to see you, they want to talk to you, they'll give you a phone call, and it doesn't have to be every day, every week even, but being surrounded by people that want you to succeed and want you to do well and become the best version of you,
Yep, exactly.
that's important. And I think that's kind of what a healthy environment entails. It's not necessarily your immediate environment. It's a lot of, who's behind the scenes helping you and talking through things with you and you know, even if it's just you fill them in every month or so, like, hey, this happened, and I, it's kind of like if you're not with people that are supportive and they're flaky and they're, kind of just on the fence about your friendship and stuff, then it's not even worth keeping. And it hurts. It hurts if it's somebody you've been friends with for a long time, or somebody that you wanted to be in your life, you tried really hard to be in theirs and stuff. It gets to a point where it's okay to let go and realize that, like I was talking about before, make yourself a priority in every realm.
And
So
when you make space, when you take people away that aren't supporting you and supporting your passions and who you truly are, you make space for the people that do. So it's a win-win situation at the end. But yeah,
exactly. And sometimes I guess, not to go on a tangent, but sometimes people have trouble with their family not being as supportive. And that can cause a difficult environment to either grow up in or kind of step away from or anything like that. But just know that if you just stay true to yourself and keep on the track that makes you happy and makes you feel like you're succeeding and stuff like that, then everybody around you should see that and should keep building you up. And it's a healthy environment where you're thriving and everybody else is thriving and doing okay and supporting each other, and that kind of symbiotic relationship type thing,
yeah,
you know
yeah. And
and
people around you that know if you're thriving, like that's not putting them down, that's helping. Like being around other people that are thriving is actually helping you thrive and be confident in yourself and see your talents and how you're special and how you can bring light to this world too if you're around other people that are doing it. So
exactly, it's important to form those relationships too, and that's kind of what we talked about earlier, is reaching out. Like that's really healthy if you feel like you can reach out to somebody who inspires you, or somebody you want to be like, or somebody that just is down to earth, and you can tell like your intuition gravitates kind of gravitate toward them, like it just makes sense. So
yeah, and that's how we were, and we just clicked. We had the same mindset. We were like, oh yeah, I get you, you get me. All right, let's go. Let's do it.
when information flows so easily, it's like you're in the right place.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's like what I realized. Like once you find those people in your life, you're so like hold on to those people because like those are the people that make you see your light and like allow you to be yourself fully. So yeah.
Absolutely.
My next question is, how do you motivate and inspire yourself to continue following your compass and passions? Because this is a good one for me too. Like continue, like so you can, put yourself out there, but continue pushing through. Continue when you're waking up and you feel, oh, it's, the world's sad right now. I don't really feel like continuing, or I don't really feel super motivated today or passionate. What do you do to keep passionate, keep positive?
So I feel like this is good for you to like check in with me since I've been flying. I've been
Accountable. Yeah.
like our little check-in because I was like, I'm gonna get out there again. Like I want to move out there. I want to do this, and this there. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna make sure you keep that while you're home. Like,
Yeah, it's easy to get stuck back into routines and yeah, forget about, oh, that was my dream and passion. Like, and it seems so close, and then if you get away from it, then it's like, oh, that would never happen, you know. Like, so yeah, how do you keep staying positive and remembering your dreams and passions and not letting them go to the side burner?
so I think that just kind of being patient with myself has been something that has kept me feeling like I'm, still succeeding even when I have some sort of setback or, day where I don't get up and make a healthy breakfast and write in my journal
Yeah.
and to X, Y, and Z jobs online and everything. And it's just it's okay to not make every day your best day.
Yes.
I,
Yes.
but at the same time, staying motivated by doing, things to keep you healthy and active is kind of the way that you keep going and building healthier habits. And I actually I have this book of quotes, and I think, did I show you my book of quotes while I was out there? It's like a quote a day in this journal. And
Yes. You know,
I
I love that stuff. You know, that's my favorite thing. Yeah.
so I had a couple of quotes that I was looking at that kind of related to this. Um, this one, okay, this one, it says it was from Abe Lincoln. I have simply tried to do what seemed best each day as each day came.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
one kind of like, and of course in the journal I like write how the quote resonates with me and stuff like that. So I just said, I'll read like a little excerpt. I said I try to do things every day that either make progress to my career and professional life, my mental health, physical fitness, etc. Sometimes it's hard to get all of that done, especially staying consistent. But if I make it something worth doing, then it can become habitual.
Yes.
And as long as I know every day that I'm trying to, better myself in one realm or, multiple realms, I feel like that's a way that I can be patient with myself in finding whatever success I'm looking for. And it's
Yeah.
been really tough. I guess I'll get into, kind of what what I've been up to the last year or so, but I graduated college last May, and I had been applying to jobs since I think that January, so over a year now. I applied to a lot of park ranger jobs and stuff like that. I went to school for environmental conservation. Ironically, I know I'm a photographer as well. That's always been my thing, but we'll talk about that. But I had applied to over 100 jobs, I think, in a year, and nothing was working out for me. So that's part of the reason I took the risk on myself, took a chance on myself and traveled, is because, it gets to a point where you can feel all of the rejection and upsetness building up, and that's when, you start to lose the good habits and kind of just get yourself into a funk and stuff like that, and burn yourself out. And I realized, maybe this isn't meant for me. Maybe these jobs that I'm applying for, maybe this isn't right. I'm going to change it up a little bit, switch up the environment, and, kind of take it from there. And that's when I realized I can be patient with myself. I can let myself, do all these things and kind of open up different opportunities that way. And I feel like that is kind of, grand scheme rather than day to day. But I think it's important to realize that, it's the small little decisions that can really make a difference and kind of open up your doors to whatever's next. You don't have to rush, you don't have to press too hard. You can let yourself kind of ease into things and, as long as you have the mindset that you're moving forward and you can better yourself all the time, then I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Ah, yes. Speaking of the truth, you're awesome. Um, yeah, like what you're saying, being patient with yourself, that is amazing that you realize that. I think it was like Gary Vee says all the time, he's like, you are so young if you're like under 40. Like you have so much time to, make mistakes and figure out who you are. Like we have so much time every day to try over and over again to figure out who we are, what we want, and we don't have to get it all done in like a day or a week. We have a lot of time, and that's what I've realized too. Just as long as like every day I'm putting like a little bit of effort towards something that I enjoy, or a little bit of thing that sparks joy, or gives me some type of happiness, like eventually it'll build up into blocks where you're like, you look back and you're like, wow, I'm in my dream life now. Like, whoa, it did work. But it's all about, yeah, being patient and like seeing it in a longer time frame and making that effort, each day. It can be small steps. Um, Build the steps before the staircase. So
Ah, that
yeah. But it's so true. Like as I've grown older, I'm like, wow, I have a lot of time. There's like plenty of time to get this stuff done. Like, and there's plenty of time to figure out who you are. So like, there's no rush. And if you rush into it, and what you're saying, where like if something doesn't flow, like it's so good that you listened to your intuition when the jobs weren't flowing right. You didn't feel like it wasn't really speaking to you. Wasn't really didn't feel right. And you felt that, and you said, I need to change of my environment, to change my mindset, and to see, like, like to get out of your environment, get out of your head, get out of kind of that the place you're in, and have a new perspective, to kind of clear the slate, to kind of think about different things. That is exactly what that's what I agree with 100% and do. Like whenever I'm feeling stuck, or like there's too much gunk on like the windshield of my life, like can't figure out what my next step is, where I'm trying to go, like traveling or clearing the slate and like going somewhere completely different, or meditation or journaling or anything like that, dream board, that's like a great way just to clear the slate and be like, okay, what is it that I really want? Because sometimes you can get stuck in patterns and routines, and really fall into something that we don't want, and forget kind of who we are and what we want. And it's really easy to forget. So yeah, you
exactly. I
said
think
it.
I think another part to that too is besides forgetting who you are, maybe you're still figuring it out, and you haven't figured out who, each piece of yourself that you are. And like I kind of felt almost like I was a nervous wreck for a while, and then that's part of what happened in Hawaii is I navigated an airport alone for the first time, and then I did that what 6 times because I was back and forth between the islands and going home and coming out and stuff like that. So just the little things that you let yourself do, it's like you're still learning different pieces of yourself, and to to do that and let yourself do that at a young age is so much. I feel like it's so much more beneficial than waiting till you're 45 to navigate an airport. Like I don't know if that's extreme, but I still feel like it's something that I kind of allowed myself to do is be patient, say okay, you still have time and experiences to figure out, and allow yourself to do that, and
You have plenty of time, and like learning through experiences is key to figure it out. So yeah, exactly. My next question is, what do you think the world needs more of? What your life needs more of? What do you think in general?
I think that I think the world needs more, like we a lot of things that we've been talking about, patience and willingness to reach out, and just kind of friendly bonds in that way. I feel like a lot of
That's yeah.
a lot of people won't reach out. A lot of people are in it for themselves. A lot of people are, all in it for their own benefit and commission. And I don't know. This is tough because I I'm proud of all the people that are in my circle, and people that aren't even in my circle that I look out for still online, that that I just I'm not stumped, but I just feel like that's it. Like, I just wish people would be friendlier and kinder and more patient with each other, more patient with themselves, and kind of at a slower pace, and less, antsy and anxious and worrisome. And honestly, I feel like I've lost a lot of that after my trip. Like, during and after my trip, I was like, wait, I can slow down and I can relax and, just go to the beach today. Like, you know what I mean? Michaela says that. She says, kind
Yeah. Hey, Michaela. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I feel like, yeah, patience and like vulnerability to open up with others and see the connectivity between others and see we're not that different. Like, and people need to forgive more, like, too, like themselves, and be able to like be patient with themselves, forgive themselves. Like, we don't have to be perfect robots. We're not freaking perfect robots. And I have to remind myself this all the time, but like, society and Instagram and like everything makes you feel like you need to go and be this perfect something, and it's just stupid, because the most important thing I've realized in my life is making these connections of people where they're like, I see you and I get you, and like I can look in your eye and be like, I understand where you're coming from, like, and literally like get the person. And I feel like that doesn't happen a lot these days because we're on our screens, we're like not, we're hiding our true selves, or we're trying to be this perfect version of ourselves or something like that. Um, and just sitting with someone and being authentically that yourself, like completely vulnerable, is like the best feeling in the world. It's the like being seen and knowing that you're being seen by just one other person is like the most powerful feeling, like, out of anything. Like, you can be talking to thousands of people online and they're just like numbers, but if you're like sitting with someone, like, and really like they get you and you're getting them and you see each other, that's the most powerful thing. And I feel like we've really lost that recently. And yeah, we don't have any forgiveness, so everyone's on edge and like trying to be perfect. Like, I was looking at my phone recently, and like the amount of like TikTokers and influencers that are like being canceled for like all these little things. Like, they're like they say the wrong word, or they like just like little things, like they get canceled for now. And I'm like, holy crap, like this is such a hard world to live in. No wonder why everyone's stressed out and like so like every little move has to be perfect. It's just like we need more openness to forgive each other. Let us learn from our mistakes. Let us make mistakes. And like, if we make a mistake, like if someone stumbles on their words, it's not the end of the world. Like, they're human. Like, frig, like, please just forgive them. Like, it's just no, like, stop the judgment. Like, let's be kind to each other. Yeah. So I 100% agree with that. Yeah.
that's a huge thing, is forgiveness. And I feel like that's something that I've also instilled into myself more recently. Is, I grew up somebody who was a perfectionist, somebody who did struggle with, you know, making mistakes, and the, absolute embarrassment and also secondhand embarrassment when I'd see somebody else make a mistake. And that's something that's not healthy.
Yeah.
And like,
I so feel that when you're like in a moment, you're like almost like sending energy. So they're like, okay, they're like, you got this. But like if they like mess up, you're like, oh, it's my fault or something.
I feel like growing up, sometimes I was scared to put myself out there and, you know, do the talent show and do other things, because like I didn't want to mess up. I didn't want to make mistakes. And now that I have made mistakes, so many mistakes, especially in the past year, I've made so many mistakes. And now I'm like, okay, like, so has everybody else. You're not the first person to do that and do it wrong, you know?
I honestly love it. Like, at this point, whenever I'm nervous, I like to just like get all my flaws out on the table. I'm like, here I am, like, bleh. I'm like here's all my mistakes. Like, it feels good just to just like let it go, get over it, and just continue. Like, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
But that's what you're very empathic, and I'm empathic too. Like, I'll um yeah, secondhand embarrassment or feeling like you're in a, like if I'm in like a situation with a lot of people, like I like to, like I think it's my duty to make sure like everyone's good in a good place or feeling good, and if it was weird, remember we were talking about that, and like if someone's not having fun or something, I feel like it's my
Oh,
fault. It's my yeah, that's like super empathic, and yeah, we just need to be like nothing's perfect and forgive ourselves, and we're not in control of everything. So yeah.
for, for our astrology listeners, we are both Libras, so
Libras up in here. Okay, the next question is how are you sharing your gifts and purpose with the world? All your information and all the stuff that you're sending out to the world, guys, go check her out.
I think that I almost want to be spreading my gift more, and I'm still kind of figuring out exactly what that is. I know for a fact that photography has become something that is, more than just my hobby. Recently I launched
Yeah,
in
you did. Say it with confidence, you did.
I launched in 2019 after I took graduation photos for the seniors in my sorority. Um, but I just saw that my friend Carrie's in the chat. She said I knew.
I know.
She's my astrology girl. But anyway, I launched my photography business in 2019. I did photos for the seniors in my sorority who were graduating, and that's when I realized, like, oh, I should have, an Instagram at least, because there was actually another photographer who was there at, the same spot at the university, just taking senior photos of other people or grad photos. And she's like, "Hey, what's your Instagram?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't have one yet." And she's like, "Why not?" And I was like, "Oh, I haven't really, I'm kind of just doing this for not for fun, but for fun, for free at least." And she's like, "Oh, like why? Like just do it. You've got the equipment. I had showed her a couple of photos. She's like, "Oh, you've got the eye for it."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I I got my first camera when I was like 9 or 10, and I, well, maybe not consistently, but I continued to upgrade as I grew up. Um, I had worked at the TV station, local access TV, for 3 years. That kind of gave me more technical education on how to do mainly videography, but also, audio, lighting, producing, editing, and all sorts of, the whole Adobe suite. And then I kind of realized that as the events took place over the years, I kind of gravitated more towards the cameras rather than the video camera, the actual, they had some really nice equipment there, but I would always be like, hey, let me take the pictures this time. And, a combination of that experience and also, the experience at university kind of being like, realizing that people wanted their photos done and stuff like that. I was like, okay, I can make this into a business, small business, and do freelance. So I realized that that is something that I had been passionate about since childhood, that I kind of turned into a a real deal kind of gig for myself and for other people that I'm, you know, reaching out to do their photos, and people that reach out to me to do their photos. I think that that is overwhelmingly positive in my life because I've been able to meet a bunch of people. I've been able to bring something to people that, they can have for a lifetime. And I think the most important thing I've learned through it is self-confidence and, letting myself grow. I look back on my old photos and I'm like, I don't know how people, wanted these. I did not do a great job editing, but as I've allowed myself to grow in that way, I realized that it's not only a gift to, spread to people, but it's been a gift to my own personal kind of growth. And I've been able to figure out, a lot about how to interact with people, and I'm still figuring out, all the marketing and everything behind it. But I do feel like it is the gift that I want to implement and continue to implement. And I do think that I have more to give, but that's kind of what I would highlight as, the gift that I'm spreading, other than, just being kind to people and stuff like that. Like that's another thing that we've already talked about, but I guess that's a gift in its own, is just being a figure, a positive figure and a light to people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think it's really funny. So you're saying, like when you were saying you didn't have an Instagram, so you knew you loved it, but you didn't like profess it to the world that yet. You didn't like publicly say this is what I enjoy to do, because like people are, when you put that stamp, when you put that website out, when you put that those dreams out, like it's no longer just like a secret. It's like, oh, she's doing it now. Like she like it puts you on the spot. Like, oh, you could fail now, or whatever. But what I've realized the most is that you can't fail if you put it out. Like you literally can't, because you're doing it. Like you are already doing it. So not putting it out and never doing it in your life, that's how you fail. Just never doing it, never showing up. Like I know, I guess personally, like my mom, like she's on here and she's an artist, and like I know that sometimes she has fear to put her art out, because then it's like it's real, it's like a real thing that people can criticize you, or it's like you're on the line now. But what I've realized a lot is that you first got to put it out, like sit, like for me, like Compass Travelers in the magazine, and like being a journalist, I was like always like, oh, I can't be a journalist until I get this qualification and this and this and this, and then I can say that I'm a journalist. But like I need to, have all this blah 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 stuff to announce that to the world. But it's more, if you like embrace the title, then you'll grow into it naturally. But you have to have the confidence to like embrace the title first to be able to push towards that. And like you saying like, oh, I'm a photographer, and like embracing that's the step to make yourself believe that you can do it, and then you'll like fully embody it and become a photographer, But like if so like having the photography Instagram page, making your website, and like feeling like, yeah, like this is what I want to do, I'm going to put the steps to do it, and then your audience and clients will grow with you. Like they'll come along the journey with you. Like for me, with my magazine and journalism, like I started not really knowing anything about film or photography or magazines or journalism or anything like that, and I like completely took the audience with me while I was growing and learned on the way. But like I needed that encouragement, that motivation, and that inspiration that like I was this journalist. So that's my title. So I'm going to keep doing it. Like that's what you need to show up and like know that once you like claim that title, you can be that title, and then you can also grow within that journey. Like you don't have to be perfect. Like you're always going to be growing. Like I'm constantly growing in being a journalist, So, and you have to make the experiences, make the mistakes again to actually learn. You're never going to be that perfect photographer unless you actually put it out there and like get the criticism or get the feedback or just learn. So yeah.
It's almost like it really is kind of like fake it till you make it, honestly, because if you believe in yourself, then I think everything else follows.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay, my last question is, what are your greatest fears and how do you deal with failure?
What are my greatest fears, do you say? Oh God, I think failure is my greatest fear. I think that I've always been somebody who, fears messing up, as we talked about, making mistakes. I've been somebody who feared judgment from other people. I'm somebody who feared, judgment from my family, from my friends, from teachers, from, all different angles, and it almost made me fear everything. I feel like in a grand scheme, it's like if you feel like you can't do something, then you're not gonna do it. So I think overcoming my own kind of self judgment, because that is, honestly the overarching issue there. You're not necessarily going to get judged by other people if you're doing something confidently and you're doing it because it makes you happy. I think what comes first is giving up the fear of what other people think, because in the end, like, it really is like so detrimental to just worry all the time and worry about what people are going to say about you behind your back, or say about you to their family or to whoever, or even come at you at your face and be like, what are you doing? Like, if people really have an issue with what you're doing, then remove yourself from that environment, just as we talked about before. It's all about being in the right environment. But I think what comes after letting go of the fear of people judging you is letting go in general, letting go of your own fear, your own self-judgment. And I'll bring up that we actually did that little tarot reading, and my overarching truth was that I needed to let go of my own self-judgment and my own fear.
Yeah.
That is what is going to open up all of the doors to me to being able to succeed and to be able to pursue my goals and dreams and everything else. If I let go of my own fear, my own, you know, kind of, I guess, judgment of what I'm doing myself, I think that that is what is going to allow me to become who I'm meant to be in the end. And I know it sounds so cliche, but it really is tough for a lot of people. I at least, speaking for myself, I guess, but I'm sure other people have experienced this, is they want to pursue something. They want to, start their own business, or they want to switch careers and do something that they didn't go to school for, and they're worried about other people. But in reality, you're worried about, your own kind of failure, or your own, mess ups, or maybe this isn't what I want. Maybe this is, something that I might find that I didn't want to do in the first place, or just kind of any kind of self inflicted negativity. You really just, as soon as you learn how to get rid of that, I think that's when you're able to thrive and, start fresh. And I to thrive and, start fresh. And I feel like that's something that I learned a little bit late. That's something that I definitely kind of would
Um,
want.
I mean, I still struggle with that. It's super hard. Yeah. I mean, and so many people do, like Calvin, like we all do, like it's so hard. For some reason, our inner critic is just the hardest to get past. But
Yeah. And
um,
I always kind of thought that it was external, and it was, I'm fearing what other people think. But that tarot reading honestly really put it into perspective for me,
it
that
only
it,
matters what other people think if you really make it like hurt you. Like you can actually like if you say I don't care, then it wouldn't matter. But if you take it to heart and actually make it impact you, then it'll hurt you. So like it's more like allowing yourself to not care, or and not like see that judgment.
exactly.
Really hard, but it's definitely, I don't know. It's just I feel like what I've realized is just like laughing about it and just like kind of just playing with it, like playing with like a mistake, or like if you're being judged, like, ha, that's funny. Like, I don't care,
Yeah,
Like, just like in the big scheme of things, it's like really not worth your time or energy. So it's just easier to kind of laugh about it. and just get over it. Silliness, like there's so much more in this universe, so it's just so silly that we like have to focus on such a little thing of judging each other, like when we are all just these human body spirits walking around on a big rock that's floating in the universe. Like, come on, do we really need to make it so much harder on ourselves? Like, no, we don't. But and also I feel like we'll look at things and think, oh, it's so hard to do that or something, or like judge yourself, oh, I'm not worthy, blah blah blah. But then when you do it, you're like, oh, that was like once you just like do it and like get it over with, you're like, oh, that was a lot easier than I thought it'd be. Like, and I can do it.
And you could be holding yourself back from making, you know, a real impact and
Yeah,
bringing a lot of success to yourself and you know, bringing a really important message to other people, or, you know, inventing something that you get, you know, published or patented, or you know, being a published author. Like, is if you put your stuff out there and give, you know, give back to people, or even just do it for yourself in your own kind of creative outlet, then it could be a huge thing. Like, there, that's how things happen in the world. You know.
that's how the Einsteins of the world happened. They went against the grain. You know, if you're going against the grain and getting people judging you, and you're like people from your hometown being like, oh, you're not doing what you're doing in school, what you studied, like, oh my gosh, like if you're getting these like insults and stuff, it's okay because you're following what you want to do. Like, it's going against the grain, and like I've realized, like once I get judgment, I'm like, oh, like I'm doing it right then. I'm like doing what I want to do, and I'm getting judgment by people that I wouldn't want to be in their life personally, so that's okay. Or, you know, like you have to just be like, sometimes it's like a good thing to have people from different perspectives not understanding where you're coming from, and sometimes it's good to, yeah, break people's barriers, make them uncomfortable with what you're doing, so then they judge. But in the long term, that's how you're going to grow the most. So, and follow your own thing. So yeah. But okay, people on here are making. I'm just gonna shout out some people's awesome things they're saying.
Yeah.
People judge you regardless, so do what you love. Magali said. Rustic Artist said, letting go of self-judgment is the most empowering thing. Beautiful conversation. It's a lifelong journey. Asha said, yes, training one's mind becomes our because our emotions are habits too. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, that's so true. Everyone on this is awesome. I'm feeling like there's high energy here. Everyone seems like awesome.
Yeah. I think there's one other thing that I wanted to mention. I'm sorry. Just regarding that, the conversation we were having is, you know, kind of straying from the norm and going against the grain. I feel like that's something that arose as self-judgment and self kind of, you know, negative thoughts and stuff. For me, is that I like wanted to have a job right out of college. I wanted to have my career, and, you know, being 22, 23 years old, you think that you should have it all figured out like right away and start, you know, building your retirement plan and everything else. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's definitely like, you know, it something, you know, you have to be patient with yourself. It's definitely something that you do have to continue to work toward, like finding that thing that you want, but you don't have to have it all figured out right away just because that was, you know, written in your plans. And that's what high school counselors were like, go to college, go to 4-year college, and then graduate, and you'll have your career, your job, you're going to be making 6 figures, like stuff like that. And it's like, that's what we grew up with, you know. Like Casey and I don't know if we mentioned, but we went to the same high school, and I think that that is something that was so instilled in us, and a lot of people, you know, all over the country, all over the world, is like, find your career right now. Like, when I was in high school, I was too young to even know what to do.
Kind of great.
do. And, you know, it is important you know, find whatever it is that, you know, gets you out of bed every day and makes you happy. And, you know, whether it makes you money or not, honestly. But I think that once you are able to prioritize allowing yourself to have those opportunities to experience and find that thing and grow from it, like it's not going to take you your whole life. Like you're going to find it, and you got to be patient with yourself, but don't just feel pressured to dive headfirst into whatever the first career is, or whatever it is that presents itself to you, because you want to be doing something that makes you happy. And I honestly have really kept that mindset for the purpose of preserving my own sanity and happiness and everything else, you know, throughout this process. Like whether it's a you know, it's a toss up between like having my 9 to 5 office job or being patient and happy and, you know, taking on different things that will honestly build up to that and lead up to that and give me the opportunity and everything else. And you know, that's kind of why I just started a job at a doggy daycare. Like that's, you know, giving me the opportunity to work and have a routine, but also get hands-on animal experience. It's all just like everything builds up. And if it doesn't happen for you right away, just like we talked about before, you got to redirect and, you know, be patient and maybe take on other opportunities that come. And don't feel so pressured to follow the norm and follow what is written for, you know, other people, because that's the reality of it. Is a lot of people are creatives and they don't know it, and they need to take the opportunity.
Entrepreneurs and creatives a lot out there. Yep, exactly. Yeah. Um, and just like, so like, yeah, I love what you're saying. And if something doesn't work the first time, if you're like putting all your passions into one thing and you do this big thing and then it doesn't work, and you're like, well, I guess I'm a failure, I have to try something different. Like, no, that is like, these are the experiences that build you to success. You need to have those experiences to build you to success, and nothing just works like that. Nothing is immediate.
Yeah.
And yeah, I with this kind of stuff, like listening to Gary Vee is my favorite, because he got like he was an entrepreneur, or he like worked for his dad when he was young, and like took him a long time, and then he became like this big known entrepreneur in his like late 40s.
Yeah.
And he was like, and there's so many like actors like that too, that like don't
Yeah.
do their or fall into their passion until they're older, and like you have really your whole life, and like you need to have those experiences of the failures and the ups and downs to eventually get that success that you're like, oh yeah, this is what I wanted. Like, not, I didn't want that random job that I didn't get. This is actually what I wanted, but I didn't get to see it until like the life journey kind of like presented itself, and it showed me that, oh, that door was closed, so this one could be open, so I could be here. You know, like I swear, like things like that just will work out. Like if you're in a good flow with your intuition, like you'll eventually realize like why things didn't present themselves, or why certain things are. Like it's all, I swear, it's like a path. Like you're on a journey, your own individual journey to your best self and your passions. So yeah.
That is so solid. Like I'm pretty sure it was who Morgan Freeman didn't get his first role until his 50s. Like that's insane to think about. Like I'm not even half that age, and I used to, well, not used to, but have still been on the journey of not putting pressure on myself. And you know, even Carrie said in the chat something about we have so much time to figure it out. I feel like today we don't give ourselves enough time to do this, and she's
Yeah,
so, it's like
we're instant gratification right now. Yeah.
yeah. And people, you know, if anybody says like, hey, you know, why don't you have that career yet, or like, oh, you're supposed to have that career like right out of college, it's like, okay, well, I have years. Years.
The most important thing right now in your 20s especially is just working on yourself, figuring out who you are, and like just like kind of loving yourself and understanding yourself. Like I'm just like trying to figure out who I am, and sitting in that like self-help reading books and like just building who I am and my character and like what I want to do, how I want to show up for the world. Like that's like the base that you need first. And like sometimes if something doesn't work out, you need to like work on that base and the roots first for something to reach up high to where you want to go. You know, you can't do anything without those roots of like love for yourself and like confidence in yourself and everything. So yeah, I love you so much and I could talk to you for hours. And yeah, if you guys notice, like we're like Libra, just ongoing Libra conversation. We just like can literally talk for hours about this stuff. We love it. But yeah, so guys, check out Mandy. So I will tag her in this post, but check out her photos and follow along her journey of following her passion and her inner compass. I'm so, so proud of you, and I love you so much, and thank you for inspiring people on here. You are an inspiration to so many.
I love you too, and the thing that I think means the most to me is that you are so supportive of me using my gift and kind of learning what that means for me right now. And I think that, you know, a lot of people, you know, in the realm of norms again, is a lot of people don't always push for the creative outlet as what you should be doing in life. But you know, my photography and whatever comes next for me with media, and whatever, you know, that kind of leads for me, leads on to what I'm doing next. I think that's something that, not a lot of people have been so vocally supportive of me for. So I really think that, you know, there's a lot in store for me coming next. I have a lady friend and I who were talking about maybe doing a podcast. So
Yay!
say that's in the works, officially in the works. I have, you know, a lot to talk about, and I think that there's a lot that I can put out there and continue to use my gifts to bring good and entertainment and everything else. So I really
You don't have to be perfect like at all. Like people see themselves in you and they're inspired like immediately. That's and like I this my passion is just like seeing you go after what you're going after and going after your dreams. Like this is literally like gives me life to see this. Like I'm especially from someone from my hometown. I'm like yeah. So it's so awesome to see and I just want everyone to be able to understand that they can do this and like, you know, if we can do it, do it, like, you know, so
yeah. I will say Casey is established. She's got it all figured out. I'm well on my way, but I'm not there yet. So you can both of us, as motivation and models and, you know, role models and things like that. I definitely am so grateful that Casey took me on tonight and allowed me to express myself and open up to all of the listeners and kind of, you know, build that confidence and motivation back up. It's just so nice to hear from you, and I would love to do this again soon. I feel like we have so much.
yeah, there's so much you can talk about. Yes, you'll be on soon, and you can also tune into this on the podcast and on YouTube. And then I'm also be writing an article all about Mandy and her journey. So, yay! Much love, aloha, compass travelers, and keep following your compass.
Yeah. Bye, Casey. Bye, guys.